Welcome to Not a Great Whisperer podcast. This is your host, Katy Ray. I am joined with the beautiful Laura Martinez. Did I say it? Do I need to have an accent when I say it?
Oh, Laura Martinez.
Yes. Okay, well, Laura's become one of my very good friends, and I'm excited that she joined today. She's been busy, which is always a cool thing. Lots of cool changes, new seasons, all that fun stuff. But, you know, I like to surround myself with a lot of creatives, and she is the epitome of creative. You know, she makes me look super cute in photos too. Laura, thanks for joining.
Hello.
We've been talking about this, so I'm so glad you joined.
I know I'm super nervous.
Don't be nervous. So I met Laura at the Amplify event that she ran with Vanessa. And one of the most powerful things, you know, she like stays behind the scenes, like making sure to grab all the beauty of it. This beautiful human does this. And we were going around talking about like labels, and she raised her hand and said immigrant. And I was just like, that is super powerful. And people don't realize how powerful that is.
Yeah, so that was a big deal for me to do that in a room full of people. Yeah, that was a lot. I come from a generation, which I know it sounds kind of funny to say.
Yeah.
But where when I was growing up, being an immigrant was not okay. It wasn't something you like talked about. Same thing like in my high school. I remember there was like maybe 10 other Hispanic kids, and we would greet each other with like a kiss on the cheek. It's just what we do culturally. Like nobody's ever thought anything. And we did get pulled over to the side by a teacher, and she was like, you know, this could be looked at as sexual harassment. So So for me growing up, the Hispanic side of things was always like kind of keep it on the hush. And because I could speak English well, and I look like I might not be Hispanic. You know,
like you blended it and you tried to. Damn. And that makes that even more powerful when you said that.
It was. I almost
we all
couldn't
were like,
get it out.
Because we're all like, and you're like, oh,
sure.
we're cheering this. Yeah. That's crazy, the teacher thing though. Yeah. Because like my husband's Cuban, so like everybody gives kisses on the cheek, and I just do it now. Because I think that's crazy. So how old were you when you came here?
So I was about 4 years old when I came here.
From Venezuela?
Yeah, from Venezuela. So as much as like I look super like Americanized and like I've culturally adapted, I'm kind of like in that middle, like not from here, not from there kind of a thing. A lot of like my cultural upbringing is like very strictly Venezuelan.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I mean, but at the same time, I think that's part of why I've been able to get so creative over there. Like here, there seems to be sometimes like more of a block creatively when people are like, oh man, like that looks really cool, but like I can't do that. Over there, it's like, that looks really cool. I bet you I could do that. It's just a common mentality. Like
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. My mom, she sews, she bakes, she does literally everything. It's like there's no obstacle for her. So it was cool being raised in that environment.
Badass woman. Was the recipe of your arepas from her?
Yes. Absolutely.
So yum.
Yeah.
So what got you into being creative? Was it watching your mom?
No. Well, yes and no. I mean, I think that was like the starting point.
Yeah.
But I will say like with photography, it actually does all stem back to being an immigrant. So when I was going through high school, there was a big moment in my life where like my immigration stuff was not sorted out. And like all of my friends were applying to colleges, doing this and that. And I couldn't drive. I couldn't apply to college. Like I just didn't have like a status at that point. And it was something that like I kept going through the court system and everything, and it would always get put on hold. So
wow.
Yeah. So and
was this in high school, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
What a time.
I was like 16 when I was like, wait, I wasn't born here. So like I don't get to do these things. But so from there, that's kind of like where I really started with photography. It gave me something to like focus on. But at the same time, on top of like being an immigrant, I've always been a little bit bigger. So
sexy bigger.
Well, and that's another culturally different thing. So for me, like photography was a way to kind of like show how I see beauty and things and also like express myself. And then from there, I just never stopped.
That's so badass. And that was in high school.
Yeah.
So like when was your first camera in high school?
Yeah. So I started at 14. And then by 18, I started doing weddings. So
gosh, you have such a awesome story behind that, though.
Oh, thank you.
Like something to focus on, like no pun intended. Focus.
Yeah.
But I love that's really awesome, Laura. I didn't know how photography started for you, so I'm excited to be listening to this right now.
Yeah.
And so with your family, was it something they cheered you on, or?
Yeah. So I actually, for my parents had given me a little teeny tiny point and shoot, which was great. But in order for me to like get more in depth into, I mean, I did take like a photography class in school, but I wanted a digital DSLR camera. And back then, like the lowest quality one was like $600. It wasn't like a commonly found thing. So I babysat all summer for like $20 a week. Just to like save up for this camera. Obviously, at $20 a week, I did not make enough to afford the camera.
When you do the math, I technically did not do great.
But my parents did fill in the rest.
And because you put the effort in, right?
Yeah,
and that's so important. You worked so hard for that. And you probably took really good care of that camera.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually still have it. And and so like through that time in my life, I couldn't drive. So my parents would literally drive me to every photo shoot.
How badass.
Yeah, I'd be like, you guys have to like drop me off in the corner so people don't know that my parents dropped me off to this photo shoot. But you know, now I'm like
you're
super
like, drop me off.
it.
I love you guys.
Yeah. I don't want to drive.
Yeah,
it's crazy how that works.
Wow, that is how long was it until you got your license?
So I got my license at 20 years old. Wow. Yeah.
Because you were stuck in the system, basically.
Yeah. And at that time, like the one thing that I feel like a lot of people aren't super aware of is that there are not really very concrete immigration laws. People are like, oh, it should be like, you know, point A to point B. And it's not. Mm-hmm. There's so many like factors involved. And during that time, they would keep changing. So it was like I'd go through courts and my attorneys and everything, and they'd be like, here's your paper that this means that you can go to the DMV and drive. I'd get there and they'd be like,
we don't take that now.
So the law just changed. We actually need this other one. So it was like.
And you're paying all those fees for lawyers.
Yeah. Lots and lots of fees.
And they think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really important experience for you too, because of how you connect with people who have been through it.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
You know? That's and people who don't understand are educating other people. I mean, it's not always people who've gone through it have to educate others, but it's very important because people sound so ignorant when they talk about like, oh, immigrants here. Do you know how many hoops you have to jump to get become a citizen? Like, you're like, hi, I couldn't drive till 20.
Yeah.
It was perfectly fine. And so it's your parents, you and your sister.
Yeah, and my nephew.
And your nephew.
Yeah.
And you all kind of live close, right?
Yes, yeah. So I actually live in the same like apartment as my sister, and we live less than a mile from my parents.
Who's older, your sister or you?
My sister.
Okay. And so how has that been? Like just growing up, like doing your own thing, like the different, like just growing up with a sibling and your parents and
so that was like super I've always been super close to my sister. And my sister has actually always motivated me. I mean, she's kind of a little mean sometimes, but like in the best way, like in the like big like sister
tough motivation.
Yeah. But like in a good way. No, for sure. I mean, she's always definitely been a big supporter my whole family. That's where I know that I'm like privileged. My whole family has always supported my crazy endeavors.
Well, you're privileged because you have a great support system, right? But you should. You're following your dreams. You're doing awesome stuff. Like, what season are you in right now? Like, what do you feel like? Because I feel like you're just like doing it. You're glowing. You're on the glow up. What is it for you? Like, what season are you in?
So, because I kind of got thrown into like the whole entrepreneurship thing. But that is actually, so I actually like to call myself an entrepreneur.
Wait, what's an intro?
So it was a book I read, but it's where you're like, I don't want to be the head of my own company. Like, I don't want to be the one taking on 100% of the responsibility. I want to focus on like the creative aspect. So for the longest time I did my own thing. And then I realized that I was bouncing back from like being freelance to going and working for a company, to being freelance again. And, what I realized is I don't love just being by myself.
Yeah.
I do love working with people. So right now I kind of get to do a fun mix of both. I do work for a company and I also freelance. And it's really the best of both worlds. I get to, like, people ask, like, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, I work. But like, to me, it's not work. Like, if I get to like creatively direct something, that's like, it's a great time. So.
I think that's important for you. The intro, did I say it right? Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. Because I think you're right. There's people that love the creative part, the people part, and they get into their own business and they're doing all that admin and they're doing all that booking, and then you're losing what you loved.
Yeah, and it burns you out.
And you're super young to found that out already.
Yeah.
That's super important.
Oh, thank you.
And you got your new apartment, you're living your life.
Yeah.
Let's talk about just being young, super amazing, super badass, running your own shit, and like dating in this atmosphere.
Oh God. We're gonna go there.
Yeah, because I love like talking to powerful women, and people don't always grow up as fast as other people, so it's like hard to connect with I'm older than you, so generation. But it is like, right? So sometimes you're like, I'm doing my thing. I don't need anybody but myself. But then sometimes you're like, I would like to date. And then you do. And you're like, why did I do that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Just exactly what you just said. All of that. It's very interesting. I find that there's a lot of people that are like motivated by what I do. And they're like, oh, you have like goals and dreams and all of these things.
And you're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. But then that's where it seems to kind of fall short. I remember one New Year's I went out with a guy and we ran into a bunch of people I knew. Like it was just an area that I knew a lot of people in, and I had worked with a lot of them. And he was like, do you just like have to know somebody everywhere we go? But it was like a
like it bothered?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry people love me.
So it was no, but it was like I find that maybe I take a little bit more of like a masculine role.
So you're intimidating.
Aspect. Well,
which is fine.
But I don't try to be. I'm like 5'4".
You should be we should have both, right? Masculine and feminine. I feel like sometimes it doesn't even exist. It's just like who we are, our presence. But your energy is awesome. So whoever that guy was, F you.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like now with my friends that are dating and stuff, sometimes they're just like, I don't really want to put my time into it.
Yeah, well, because it's like I have maybe 2 free days a week, if even that.
Yeah.
Very rarely is it on a weekend, because I do events and stuff. And when I do have those 2 days, I want to go to sleep. I want to walk my dogs, right? Or I want to like spend some time with my family, do something with my nephew. He's big on football, so I try to take him to all the like local football events,
which is so cool.
Yeah.
Let's go into aunt life, because my sisters are aunts to my kiddos, and they are just like, I'm an aunt too, but like watching them with my kids is like, they love aunt days. So how has that connection kind of grown you just in general as like a woman and human?
So that's awesome. I love that I was able to like have that relationship with my nephew and help raise my nephew. It works out really well. I'm actually meal prepping for him right now.
Cool.
We've been doing this for the past 6 weeks, and I think he lost like 17 pounds.
How awesome.
But what's exciting about it is I actually saw a quote one time that was like, be the person you needed when you were younger. And for me, like in my culture, everywhere, there's a lot of like restrictions on like women's bodies, but my culture is, they're very big on like beauty queens. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, Venezuela has like titles and so I always got like a lot of that, like, just from my parents, like, you can't eat like that, or you have to do this, or you have to do that, wear your hair down. And so, like, I mean, that's changed over time, but with my nephew, it's super nice because, like, as he's, like, going through this, like, weight loss journey, he's training, right? Yeah. But it's like I get to teach him. I'm like, I get to teach him, like, don't stop eating, just eat better. Like, focus on what you're eating. Yeah, because
breaking the cycles.
Yeah, like to me, I'm like, oh, okay, let me just not eat for like 4 days and I'll be fine. Yeah, and so like I definitely don't want him to like grow up and be like, let me just not eat.
No, you're right. I always say that. Like, I'm always like, if I'm not eating the same thing the kids are, I'm like, yeah, you can eat whatever you want, whatever feels good to your body. Like, I don't want them to see like me not eating.
Right,
like,
right.
And you're right. We can, break the cycle. And that's really good. And he's probably super motivated. And with you helping him, like keeping him accountable, like he's just starting a new journey, like just a health journey for himself.
Yeah. And it's nice I get to teach him kind of some things that I've learned. So it's nice. I do realize, though, with all the time I've spent, he's a little bit of a mini me. But it's not always a good thing.
That's so funny.
He likes to... I'm a big, like, I question everything. Yeah. So, like, if someone tells me something, I'm like, well, but why?
Yeah. So he does it now.
So he likes to do that to me. Though. Yeah, no,
That's
it's...
So I love that. What's the age difference between you both?
So he is 15 and I am 29. So,
cool.
Yeah, 14 years.
Yeah, so you're an aunt, but it's like little brother kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I think one of the best things about that is you've probably taught him so much about just like women.
Yeah, well,
just like powerful, like, this is what you want to, like, driven, motivated, because he comes from an age where, that's generation. I mean, that generation is just, it's hard, to see that, like, so much social and fake stuff and stuff. So he gets to really see, like, a real human out of you.
Yeah.
Look at you. Just killing it. So what do you feel is, like, the biggest, something that your family does now that they would have never done before? Like, something they've, like, grown into?
So in general, probably just like learning to live. I know that sounds like really crazy, but I'd say like probably, well, now we don't have any immigration issues, right? Yeah. So like that was like a big stressor.
So hard, yeah.
Yeah, like that went on for like over 10 years of my life. So that was, and even longer. Like obviously like when I was younger, I just didn't notice it as much.
So during that time, do you have to worry about getting deported? Like while you're in it?
So
no, right?
No, okay. But like you literally can't do anything
because you're not.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
yeah. So
super stressful.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And then during that whole time, Venezuela is like turning into like this crazy country. So it was like, oh, where do you want me to go?
Yeah.
But with my family, just like I said, learning to live. My mom actually, so she had a heart attack in 2017. And that's when like a lot of things changed for everybody. Like I said, my mom was very like, you have to like, if I wore my hair up, she would like complain the entire time. And it was like just this whole thing. You have to dress up for this. You have to dress up for that. And now it's just a lot more, everybody in the family is more like, let's just go have fun. Like, oh, that place is closed. Let's go to the next place. Like,
as just traumatizing as that was.
Yeah.
Heart attack, like it kind of just.
Yeah. Now it's like which this part is like, it sounds like crazy to be saying this, but I remember my mom went bowling recently, and I guess there was someone there who was just like not someone that my mom would be like, oh, like she's super tiny or anything like that, and she's wearing like this spaghetti strap and these like short shorts. And in our previous times, my mom would have probably like said not nice things about this person. And I was like, to my shock, when we got home, she was like, oh my gosh, that girl's just living her best life. Like, she just looked like she was having such a great time. So it was like that whole dynamic has really changed our whole family.
She just sees life differently now.
Yeah. So that's great. Yeah.
That really is. I love stuff like that. It gives me goosebumps because, like, people are always like, no, they're stuck in their ways. And you're like, no, not everyone.
Yeah.
And
no,
you can be like,
for sure. Yeah.
And I love that. And I still can't believe, though, the whole, like, your hair has to be down.
Oh, yeah.
What if it's super hot out, Mom? Like,
listen, so in Venezuela, like it's hotter than it's here, and it's like just humid and nasty, and women will go get their hair done in the morning, and they walk everywhere. Like, people don't really drive because everything's just gotten so crazy there. But it's like their hair being down and blown out is like, they're still going to do that.
Shit.
Yeah. I don't care if they're sweating. Yeah.
That is okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. If they're happy doing it.
Yeah.
We're all about happiness here. What are some of the, because I have a million listeners, what's something you want to like tell somebody that it could like change their life? Like, what's something that you've learned along your journey and any piece of it, whether being a creative, whether, finding what you love to do, being an immigrant, like, what is it that you would want somebody else to know?
Honestly, it's probably just that, like, it always gets better. Overall, I there's been a lot of obstacles thrown my way, but they're just temporary. And then, like, once that's over, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so much stronger. Like, you just kind of also realize all the things that you can do. And a lot of things don't scare me. Like, with immigration wise, I went and I started studying political science in school. So for me, it was like, I never want to be afraid of this ever again. And there's something in that, like, when you go through a tough time, you just kind of, I feel like you're responsible for how, not maybe, like, obviously, like, grieve and do all the things that you need to do.
Yeah. You're not validating it.
Right. Like, you can't give it power to, like, dictate the rest of your life, So.
What do you think has helped you learn that? Like, how is your mentality so strong, really? How have you?
So really, I'd say it's again, kind of all being an immigrant. We know a lot of people who built their whole lives there and are starting over new in other countries. And it's like, you can't fret on what happened, all these things, or else, like, I mean, you're just gonna live unhappy for forever. So you have to make the choice.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most important thing, is that things eventually get better. And you just got to choose to take one day at a time. And
you're so cool. I love you. So one of my favorite things about you is just like your giggles on things, and like how we like laugh at stuff, which is sometimes maybe traumatic for other times. But like we do that. Like that's what we want. It's fun. Oh, I think it's fun. But I love that about you. And I do love how you do have a very humongous network, and how people just like know you, and you're just like, hey. No. And I'm just like, there's like 47 people that just said hi to Laura. No. But I love that about you. Just like people know you because you're just a good human.
Thank you.
And I just see so many cool things happening. Was this your first podcast?
This was my first podcast.
I know. God, that made me so happy. One of my favorite things is popping people's podcast cherries. So
yeah.
Thank you so much. So when you send this to your family, you're welcome for that.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome for that.
I just feel like just maybe the last 5 minutes.
Don't listen to Katy at the end. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I love that. Tell us where we can find you. Where we can hire you for all the things.
So I'm on Instagram as Laura Martinez Creative. I am on Facebook as well. So I realized I share a lot of stuff to my personal one, which is Laura Laughed. And then my business Facebook is Laura Martinez Photography, or you can go to lauramartinezphotography.com. So
yeah, that website with all her good stuff.
Yeah.
What is the best shoot that you've had so far? Like one of your favorites?
Oh man, that's really
It's a hard one, right? I thought
it's really,
I don't know if she's
hard.
gonna be able to pick one. You pick a couple. It's okay. We have time. It's fine. Whatever you want.
Well, I just did. I'm actually working on a video right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and it's like a proposal video. But it's actually really cool. We recreated all their dating scenes. Yeah, with little kids. It was great.
Oh,
Yeah, and the little kids were great. They like did everything
So
well.
did you do the video or the photo? Both?
I did the video.
Okay,
yeah. So, so I got to start editing, working on that. But right now, that's like the freshest one on my brain. We just did
Oh my
this
God, that's
past
so
weekend,
cute.
so,
Yeah, you're just like, Katie, I can't go through all of the things I've done since I was 14.
Well, no, but what's cool is so a lot of the moments in this video, I actually was a part of in general, like in life as they were dating.
I love that.
Yeah, so it was like really cool to kind of like as we were recreating
You
things.
could add
I'm like,
the things.
yeah.
Oh my God, I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
I hope it's public. I need to see all of it. That's so cool. All right, well, you can find Laura on Not a Great Whisper, at The Real K Ray, KatieRay.com. We're at BKN Creative Studios in Ybor, and this has been awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining, Sista.
Thanks for having me.